Welcome back to Spearo Diaries with Laura and Elise.
Two Kiwi mermaids talking about spearfishing and ocean adventures. To bring us into the Aotearoa spring season of the potty, we're kicking things off with a high-quality, deeply informative chat, one we've been keen to have since the very beginning of Spearo Diaries.
This episode features a man whose name is synonymous with living the Spearo lifestyle in Aotearoa. You are very likely to have eyed up one of his stunning ocean pictures or footage. He embodies the ocean and the outdoors, someone we deeply admire for his curiosity, intelligence, and care for the marine world.
This human is a Spearo hunter, rum wrestler, and an occasional duck fisherman. He is the founder of Mahi dive floats and is a talented photographer who both appears on and films for the South Seas Spearo's TV show.
Today we're joined by Sam Wilde, a highly knowledgeable, energetic and humble human whose warmth shines through every adventure, recall and memory. Sam is clearly obsessed with the ocean and its creatures, and he treasures nothing more than sharing that passion with good humans on unforgettable ocean journeys.
His take on spearfishing, the marine environment, and its creatures is informed, honest, and humble. We're excited for you to get to know the man behind the lens a little bit more, including his most important upcoming role to date, becoming a dad. Enough from us, on to the man himself and his still burning thirst for adventure. Episode 28 of Spearo Diaries, underwater creator and ocean advocate, Sam Wilde. Sam, welcome to Spearo Diaries. It's so good to have you here. We have been hoping to get you on for a very long time, but we are just starting to figure out how technology works. So we're very thankful for you to be one of our first guests with video. So thank you for coming along tonight and making the time to chat with us.
No, of course. I know finally, it's so good to finally catch up. I know we've been trying to get this done in person, but hey, here we are, even though it might have taken us about 30 minutes to try and figure out all the microphones and stuff, but we're here.
Yeah.
We're in.
It's a lot of microphones. So we've got it now. We've got it. Yeah, no drama.
Yeah, we're stoked because I know we harassed you. It's like about a year ago at the old Boat Fish Dive Expo that we met you in person and harassed you. So we are stoked it's finally come together. And like we were saying before, it would be cool in person to hang out and get to know you properly in person, but we're embracing the online. So thank you for making time to have a yak to us.
Good. That's good. Yeah, I know we've been trying to make it happen, but unfortunately, yeah. Do it over the dirty old laptop screen works just as good, but yeah, I remember catching up. It was pretty much a year ago, like it was a year and a week ago that we were hanging out down there, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Checking out the master artist, Tim Lee, working at his stand, eh? Yeah, no, good times. Good times.
That was so sick learning from him. Holy heck. I couldn't believe it. I was like, you're actually going to let us have a go at this? This is awesome.
Tim's a legend, man. Tim's a legend. I'm still trying to figure out how he does it because he's a wizard, like the talent that man has with his artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's so humble too, like hung out with him for quite a bit this expo as well, and just like he's just such a humble dude. Like I don't know how someone that talented is that unaware that they're that talented, but
yeah. No, very talented man. Very talented man. Good.
Well, I think we will be able to get him on the potty soon as well, seeing as we've got this whole technology thing sorted out. So that's exciting.
We know you have an absolute treasure trove of stories and yarns, and we will not be able to fit them all into one chat, but we will try to get some of your wisdom. So yeah, we'll rip in.
Well, Sam, we know you grew up in Nelson. I'm sure that you had a lot of good times down there, but is that where your spearfishing journey began?
Yeah, it did. I grew up in a little village called Mapua.
Mapua?
Little Mapua. So I grew up in and around the ocean, but was always mad keen on fishing. Spearfishing wasn't anything that I was sort of super familiar with until like 12 or 13. We'd sort of always go down the Marlborough Sounds every year as a family, and I'd always harass my parents to take me out in the little dinghy to catch blue cod or anything that was swimming around, and with a little hand line, tangling things to pieces. But then one year we had a family friend turn up, and he jumped in the water with the spear gun, and super intrigued and loved snorkeling as a wee tacker, and he asked me to come along with him one time, and I honestly haven't looked back. Like, I think with a lot of Spearos, when you first get introduced to the sport, it's not just something like, oh yeah, it's all right. Like when you're into it, it's like an obsession.
Yeah.
You become fully fixated, and as soon as I sort of jumped in and realised that I could do my sort of get my fishing fix under the water, yeah, just haven't looked back.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like when you jump in the water, it's almost like, even though it's the opposite, you're like, I can breathe again, even though it's like, I can't breathe again. Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it just does something to your brain, eh? Like you can't not think about it constantly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that also where you, like I have heard just quickly that, you're also quite good at fishing for ducks. Is that accurate?
We might have done some
Oh
research.
man.
Can you tell us
Yeah.
about, fishing for ducks in front of small children and families?
Hang
Just
on a
quickly.
minute. Okay. No,
Was
no,
that
no.
a Nelson?
All right. Yeah. I was involved in a little bit of duck fishing. That'll be my lovely partner. Yeah, definitely a little sprinkle of trauma that was sort of got attached to everybody involved in that situation. But no, we were out fishing over in Golden Bay. Took my lovely partner out there in nice tranquil lake. Not quite.
Yeah,
sprinkling
beautiful
it, but
scenery.
so funny. Anyway, we're out teaching Emma how to sort of cast a bit of a rod, and sort of like a long way away, like near the shore, out to the left was a few ducks, sort of giving it the heads up that, like, be careful where you're casting in a minute because we've got some ducks coming our way. Anyway, first cast just goes straight over one of these. Emma starts freaking out and starts winding in and ends up hooking one of these ducks. Freaks out some more and just gives this rod to me. I'm winding in this bloody duck. This duck. I've got mates of mine on the other side of the lake. Nice one, Spearo. Film me winding in this duck. But turns out ducks are assholes, man.
I mean, probably if you hook them, yeah.
Well, as we were winding in this duck, all of his mates just came flying in and just started like trying to drown this poor duck as it's coming in. So there's kids and stuff around there freaking out. My mates are over there filming. Dad, on this spearfishing TV show, I'm like killing this poor little duck. Emma's just sitting back like, I got nothing to do with it. Yeah, in the end, like honestly, like it genuinely almost killed that duck. I ended up having to throw rocks at his mates to tell him to bugger off.
Holy heck. Its
When we
mates were
came-
probably like, finally, we've got Jerry. Awesome.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this.
They wanted to eradicate him anyway. I mean, we came in a bit hot with that story. We could have
No, it's
saved
good.
it somewhere
No,
in
it's
the
good.
middle, but
Break the ice.
Yeah, I didn't mean to
I like
ambush
it.
you, but I just heard about it recently and I just thought it was the funniest thing I've ever heard.
yes, your lovely lady was very thorough in her story rundowns that she gave to us. And as much as we could have read out word for word her story, and it was pretty much the same, but I liked it in her version that you'd said something along the lines of, don't hook a duck.
Yeah.
Maybe think it's just like when someone says to you, don't do something, and you almost end up doing it because they've said don't do it.
That's
I
my
was like,
that's my partner to a T. You know,
Perfect.
If I try and tell her to do something, she's always gonna be like, "No, fuck, you're not telling me what to do."
Awesome. It's always going to be fun then. That's good.
Like, we'll circle back to some more stuff from her later because she did actually say some lovely things and say that you're actually a lot
That's
more
true.
patient. You're patient now, but yeah, we have some helping sections later on where we can tell you some more lovely things people have said about you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time that you went out spearfishing?
Yeah, I do. It was that it was that trip with my family friend. It was with Mark, and yeah, with spearfishing, you can come home with an empty chili bin and still have the best day in the world because of all the things you get to see. And so, immersing yourself in that whole new world, and seeing all of these new fish species that obviously thought that as a wee young fella I knew absolutely everything, especially about fishing. And you get in the water and you see all this amazing stuff that I'd never seen before, And I remember spending half a day on this little rock chasing around trying to shoot my first butterfish, which was banded wrasse, and just completely missing everything. Came home with one banded wrasse, thought I'd just shot my first butterfish. Mark very politely corrected me, but the first time that I went sort of outside of that day without him, it was that same place. So it's just on the outer Marlborough Sounds in a place called the Chetwood Islands.
Cool.
And so on the outer Pelorus, I used to have a body glove wetsuit with a red woolen sock and a green woolen sock as my booties. There was no hood or anything like that. I used to have those short rubber warehouse fins.
Awesome.
And the bend, like the very first time I went up by myself, I was just in there the whole day. My parents couldn't get me out, and I managed to find a crayfish. I couldn't believe it. I didn't have any gloves, so it ended up like took me like 20 dives to dive like 2 meters because I was so scared to grab this crayfish. Before I even realized that they're super spiky and yeah, they tear you to pieces. But yeah, sure enough, I got a hold of it and it completely tore me to pieces. Still got scars. Still got scars on my hand from it. But absolutely loved it. Just bear hugged this thing, swam it back to the boat straight away. And then went back the very next day because I'd lost pretty much every single leg off it. And I wanted to get it back. And went back to the exact same cray hole and there was another crayfish the same size. The first one that I grabbed was about 2.5 kilos. It was actually pretty.
Holy hell.
Yeah, it was actually
huge.
pretty good cray. And by then I'd learned my lesson, so I put one garden glove on. One of my hands got freshly torn to pieces when I grabbed the next one. But yeah, no, absolutely loved it. Shooting undersized blue moki and you shoot your red moki and all your random species to try and, because you just don't know what's what at that stage. But yeah, Marlborough Sound really kicked off for me.
It's really cool that you can because we do talk to a lot of people about the same questions. It's really cool that you can literally recall the details of your crayfish and stuff. Like some people are like, oh, I can't really remember what the first thing I got was, and they might talk about how they feel in the ocean, but they can't really recall the details. That's cool.
Yeah, the scars definitely help for sure.
Yeah, you're like, oh yeah,
memorable.
That's wrong. I remember grabbing my first cray and definitely feeling a little bit freaked out at the start. Like you have to kind of you look at it and you're like, oh, that's a bit it's like grabbing a giant weta or something, but underwater, it's like a bit ugh. But then you I don't know, you kind of cross that line and you're just straight into it, it's just get some grit and go.
I still get that little bit of that feeling, when you sort of poking yourself into a big hole, bit of a hole and you see a big crayfish staring back.
Yeah.
There is that feeling oh yeah, it's sweet.
Yeah.
So a bit of excitement, not necessarily nerves, but that there's a chance you're going to get your hand. If it gets a hold of your hand, it's going to hurt.
Of a fight.
They're grunty weed things, but I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to do some commercial cray diving in the Chatham Islands.
Cool.
Yeah, really, really cool. Probably some of the most fun you can have with your clothes on out there, I reckon, doing that sort of carry. The way that works is that when the quota management system was introduced, the way that a few of the locals were commercially harvesting was through the method of diving, not just with pots, so that those individuals were given these sort of special permits that while they were alive, they could still use that particular method.
Wicked.
And then they while they're alive, they can a couple of the young fellas and stuff get the opportunity to use that permit. And I was lucky enough to head over there with a couple of mates and rip into it. But to cut a long story short, having the opportunity to go and grab crayfish, every crayfish that you see for a job, I've still love grabbing them every dive.
Wicked. Yeah.
Never get sick of grabbing crays.
What's your hot tip for grabbing them? Have you got one for someone that's not really sure? For us mostly.
Yeah.
Have you got what do you go for when you go to grab them?
Oh, a couple of different tips. I definitely recommend if you have a spear gun, just as soon as you see the crayfish, just put your gun down next to the hole and come up and always hit it with a fresh breath because you never quite know how far back they're going to go, and sometimes they lock in and you're down. It sucks because it's a proper wee battle when you're having a bit of a tussle, and if you run out of air and let the crayfish win, or try and hit it with a fresh breath for sure. If you can get down on its level and try and use two hands, and sort of what I mean by that is what I quite like to do is if I have the time, get down on its level and you use your non-dominant hand to sort of come in first and sort of try and get its attention of their antennae. And what they'll do is they'll sort of follow your hand with their antennae, and it allows for a cleaner grab to come in and underneath the horns. Because if the antennae are in the way at all, and you go in for the grab and your hands hit their antennae, they're going to be sort of gapping it before you get a chance to get a hold of the horns. And then once you do have a hold of the horns, instead of just giving them a real good pull and trying to yank them out straight away, push them back Push them
there you
back and
go.
give them a bit of a jiggle backwards and forwards, because when a crayfish moves, they move backwards. So when you start pushing them back in that direction, which is the way that they normally swim, everything sort of wants to go back into that sort of same space where they would potentially be swimming, and they can potentially break that stance where they're locked in. Whereas if you just give them a good yank, they can be locked in nice and tight, and can be quite hard to get out. But yeah, that's just a couple of things.
Wicked. So
Depending on where you're
hot tip.
grabbing them.
I
If you're
hadn't
grabbing
heard
them
that
under a
whole. Sorry, I hadn't heard that whole like left hand thing without your dominant hand. Like I've definitely had some issues with crays and like hovering and then feeling my energy or whatever. But that's quite cool understanding that.
yeah. So you almost just like a what do you call it, like a composer trick. You just sit down there and you sort of get your hand in front of them and get lifting their antenna up to sort of see what your hand's up to, and then come in and give them a good whack.
I will report back if I'm going to try that this summer. I have one question for you actually about this. Some of the boys I trained with were talking about this on a trip I was on about how to get crays. One guy who's pretty experienced reckons if you put an octopus like tentacle in the front, they'll come out the back, and he's tried that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a thing.
I haven't. I've
And-
never. Oh, have we tried that?
And I said that's pretty tricky if I can't find an octopus, so it's not that helpful.
Yeah, and then you got to cut his leg off unless you have one.
Yeah.
One of the other things they came up with. This is
no.
their
I like
latest theory.
octopus.
You know those mops, the like white, like old school American mops.
Oh yes.
So one of the boys reckons this is legit, that people take mops in and shove the mop in and go like that, and it clings on.
No way.
I don't know if it works.
I wanna see
I'm
it.
keen to see that. Yeah, I'm real keen to see that. I have heard of like the whole octopus trick, and I think we might have tried it down in Portland. But yeah, like because octopus are a predator of crayfish, they obviously do not want to hang around them. So you chuck an ockie in a cray hole, and there's only one way out. You might as well sit there with your catch bag because they'll come ripping out and fall straight in. There's an old school method of vinegar or something in a squirty bottle. And what that does is, if you put it into holes, what it does is it displaces the oxygen. And they do the same thing. They just freak out and they're like, "Oh, can't breathe here. I'm out of here," and they shoot on out. But,
Cray catching jizz. Okay, right. Writing that down.
Just careful what you stick in the hole, Laura.
Sorry.
I want to make a mop video now. I want to take my mop out.
I'm not kidding. I don't make that up.
Yeah.
They're going to be mad at me for
I've
sharing
got
their
one.
secrets.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure it will really catch on. Don't worry.
You can be the mop girl, Elise. I'll support you.
Yeah.
Well, rolling into one of our little classic Spearo Diaries favourite questions is our section called Dear Diary. It's like the dive day entry, basically. One of the most, and you'd have so many, but one of the most memorable dive days you've ever had.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Or any? Numerous?
there's too many to say. Yeah, we're so lucky with the opportunities that we have here in New Zealand, and a lot of my favourite things have been in New Zealand waters. Wanganella Banks is a little bit further afield, but the Marlin and the Wanganella Banks, being in and around a fish so big that you never really get the opportunity to see very often, and the way that it makes you feel being in the water with something like that, and carrying on to a fish that instills a particular feeling is swimming with getting great whites. You obviously get a very particular feeling when you swim with them, but that was absolutely incredible seeing them down in Stewart Island. Some with the cage, some without the cage. Mind blowing. The paper nautilus spawning. I mean, everything that the Three Kings has to offer. That was mind blowing. Swimming with harp hooker in 5 meters of water in Fiordland. Wow, that's reasonably accessible to a lot of people. In between Dusky Sound and Breaksea Sound, there's a place called the Acheron Passage, and there's a marine reserve which they've been looking after in there for a wee while. And we went in to try and find some harp hooker, hoping that we might see one or two. And as we jumped in the water, someone sitting on the boat was like, "Oh, hey guys, you've actually got a school of hooker swimming up."
No way.
Walking about.
Wicked.
Looking at the bottom, and sure enough, we had hooker. Some of them, a couple of them, close to 20 kilos coming in.
Oh my goodness.
Spearing them over in the Chatham Islands as well. That's pretty amazing. The bluefin, super lucky to see some of the things that we get to see here in New Zealand. A lot of that is driven by South Seas Spearos, that spearfishing show that we film. yeah, it's just we're so lucky to have the opportunity to go to the places that we go to, and see the things that we see. And lucky enough to have the camera in hand and sometimes get to take photos and videos and yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty spectacular. I don't think like anywhere in the world there's a show quite like South Seas Spearos. How many seasons have you got now?
Question. Five.
I mean, I should know.
Five that are out, and I think that we have finished wrapping up season 6. So I think that's coming out at the end of October. So season 6 will be coming out end of October, which will be pretty cool. Yeah.
Is that available worldwide, like for people to be able to view?
No, not worldwide. I think that we've actually found it quite hard to get it on international networks. We're in a fair few different countries now. I think that, like Uzbekistan or something plays it. Maybe Sweden.
Yeah,
There's a couple of countries over the world which are playing it. We'd love to make it more readily available, but at the moment it's just for Kiwis at the minute.
Yeah. Is it in Australia?
No, it's not. We're finding it really hard. Australia, eh? We've got a lot of Aussies hit up asking about that. You can. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this.
Okay.
You can get a VPN. No, just
some people could get a VPN.
and you can watch it. And you can watch it from wherever. I don't know. So a few Aussies have been doing that, but they've been sort of screaming out for it. And we've had some amazing diving over there too. You know.
Yeah.
The Great Barrier Reef is amazing. Diving for barramundi, 20-centimeter viz. Again.
Holy hell!
That was some of the scariest diving we've ever had.
Yeah, I bet.
Barramundi off this. I think it might have been not last season, the season before. Yeah, and like honestly, you can't get that far in front of your face. The boys kicked us out of the water because they had one of those Garmin live scanners, and they could see a big bull shark swimming past us on the scanner that we couldn't see. So we pulled and went around the corner and we were looking at saltwater crocs and stuff like that. Yeah, Australia's wild.
It's different. It's so different. Like even just having a bull shark come in when you can see it's a bit like, ugh, yuck, like it's gross. And then like when you know that salties are around and you're like, am I going to see one this in a minute? Like it's kind of freaky.
We weren't going to see it. It was just
that's true.
To us, like, oh, that feels like a bull shark, or oh, that feels like a croc. But I think being Kiwis, we're a little bit sort of naive, and you sort of keep it at the back of your mind. Haven't seen a shitload of big bull sharks, and haven't seen many crocs.
It's interesting that you sort of comment, like a lot of what you're commenting on, like your memories obviously to do with like creatures. It's not you being like, oh, the day I shot, blah, blah, blah. Like you're talking about these different amazing opportunities and places and creatures, which is quite interesting. So obviously with your study background, that's probably natural that maybe, I don't know what your answer would be, but shooting on camera and shooting by spear, like you haven't mentioned necessarily either of them. Like you've mentioned the creatures, which was quite interesting to me. That when you get asked what your best dive days are, like you definitely can't pick, like there's so many. But would you say like who you're with, like you've mentioned the South Seas Spearos crew, would you say on one hand, like all those amazing creatures that you get to witness is one side of it, and then the other side is just being with a really good crew is kind of what makes a good dive day?
Yeah. I mean, like any good day is normally a day spent with good people. If you sprinkle some good diving into that, you know, you're only going to have an even better day. But yeah, going back to what we were sort of talking about earlier, you know, like spearfishing, I think for a lot of us, it isn't what you shoot. It's not necessarily what you bring home. I think that's always a bonus, you know. It's all the amazing things that we get to see along the way. You know, you can jump in the water and you can swim with humpback whales that get schooled by kingies before you get your guns in the water or something like that, you know. And like it's that sort of shit that's why we keep coming back for more, because you never know what you're going to see, you know. Like you've got to have expectations of what you might end up shooting, but it's
the wildest space
it's the combination. Like, but it's taking the piss out of your mates on the boat. You you see your mate, Timmy. But to Timmy, I'm pretty sure he's snaked a few of my fish, you know. But like bombing down, he's seen your mate lining up a fish, and you fucking sneak in from the side and shoot it for him. It's all that sort of stuff. There's definitely fish that stand out as significant fish that have been shot, but they're not necessarily that doesn't really define some of the better diving days for me. No, definitely not.
Wicked. Love that.
Do you sometimes
just with you being like a photographer, like both me and Elise are super passionate about photos and videos of the ocean as well. But like I went to art school for a couple of years, so I sort of, my brain goes there. Do you sometimes look at images you have and they can literally transport you back to that particular moment and day?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, definitely one of the hardest parts that I find about being an underwater cameraman is that internal battle of being a Spearo and the cameraman at the same time. Like, no matter what situation I'm in, I'll be sitting there behind my camera being, fuck, I really want to put a Spearo in that big kingfish.
Yeah.
But there'll
Yeah.
be times where you're sitting there behind the gun and you're like, man, this is like a wicked photo opportunity. I wish I had my camera with me.
I was going to ask you about that actually, like what the difference is, like feeling that when they come in, but then also like, do the fish interact with you differently when you've got a camera versus when you've got a gun?
Yeah,
Or are you just like,
yeah.
they camera shy?
No. Well, the sharks are camera shy.
Okay.
Sharks can be quite hard to get good footage of on when you're holding your breath because they don't like attention.
And is it like anything to do with the electricity that you have in the camera and the
Nah.
infrared lens or anything?
No, I don't think it is. I think that it is. I mean, maybe with some sharks, like blue sharks and Marcos, have been super inquisitive and come right up and almost hit the camera. But so like bronzies and even whiteys, like sometimes they can actually be quite. They don't like that too much attention. But I think that a lot of it comes down to body language. Same with you'll find with hunting as well, where so many people will say, hey, look, I went for a dive and I didn't even take the gun and I had this swim past and I had this come real close. And it's honestly to do with your body language. Like people, and that's a big part of being a good Spearo, I think, is almost being in the water and just not giving a shit about spearing anything. And I think that the more intent you are on hunting something, that really shows, and the fish can pick up on that. You mentioned the Ampulive Lorenzini for the sharks. So I think that the Marcos and the blues have definitely been, they've come in from that. But a lot of other sharks, bronzies and even some of like the tiger sharks and stuff, the dusky whalers and stuff that we come through, they're good sized sharks, but they just hate the attention. Like it's almost like there'll be times that I've sat back and I've watched the boys sometimes diving and the sharks swum right up to them, almost sitting right next to their shoulder. But the very second that they know that they've been seen, they're off. Their body language changes and they're out of here. And I think for me, I've got that big dome on the front of my camera, which almost looks like a little bit of an eye. So they're getting a lot of attention, which they're not used to.
Yeah, true.
Looks like potentially a big eye coming at them and stuff.
Yeah.
There's challenging getting good video of sharks sometimes. But yeah, fish don't seem to mind it, and they can tell that I'm not there to
murderous intent. They can feel the lack of murderous intent.
Try and put a hole in them, So in that regard, it makes my job a little bit easier sometimes. It's quite good to sort of separate myself from the Spearos and just sort of spend a bit of time with the fish to sometimes get some of that better footage.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Laura, you can take yourself a camera out there and you won't have to worry about sharks ever again.
Yeah, wow. Whenever I have a GoPro, nothing cool comes along. As soon as I put my GoPro on my float boat, I see cool shit.
It's the curse of the camera. It's a thing. The curse of the camera, 100%.
Yeah, I think I was telling that to somebody today. I was like, nothing ever cool happens when you got your camera there. As soon as you put it away, you're like swimming with manta ray, swimming with whales, sharks, like great whites come in. Like it's like, fucking cameras. You need a little secret one, like you don't even think about. What is your favorite part about spearfishing?
Yeah, a big question, eh? Like it's so many different elements to it. For me, it's just the way that it makes me feel. If I'm out spearfishing, I've been on the boat, I'm in the wetsuit, I'm in the water, everything else just melts away. I'm normally with my mates, doing the thing that I love the most. Like, there's just so much to it. Good for my fitness, for my well-being, being able to come back and being able to feed the family. There's so much to it. But yeah, it's kind of hard to explain because it's like trying to describe an emotion.
Yeah.
Really, really, really hard to do. But Spearos will understand. You know, like once you're a Spearo, there is just that one thing about spearfishing and being in the water, and it's kind of hard to pick the one element that makes that for you. It's the combination of just the whole thing that we're lucky enough to be able to do here in New Zealand. You know,
Yeah.
to get in the water, it's not necessarily. It's a big mission for some people, but we're so lucky here in New Zealand that the coastline is so accessible to us all.
Yeah.
We do have abundant waters. I know that everything could be better, but looking at overseas, you know, a lot of these people can't necessarily just, you know, drive down to the local boat ramp, drive around the corner and go and shoot big snapper or something like that, which some of us are lucky enough to do. Or grab a feed of paua and crayfish, and you put a dollar value on whatever we bring in. You know, you shoot a couple of fish, and the price of fish is extortionate.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
We're so lucky to have those resources available to us as Kiwis.
We are. And like even just walking on the beach, there might be 4 or 5 people on the beach, you know, and yeah, it's like a kilometre coastline. When you travel, you're like, holy hell, we are so lucky. It's pretty cool. Have you got a favourite place in New Zealand that you like to go diving? Not asking for your secret spot, but you know, like
No.
an area.
Like, honestly, like no. I don't have a single favourite. And another thing that I love about New Zealand diving is New Zealand's so small, and no two places are the same. You drive an hour down the coastline, and it's completely different terrain, different coastline, different species. Everything has something so unique on offer. You know, Fiordland has its crayfish and just that feeling of, you know, diving and looking up at incredible scenery. You know, you never know what you're going to see down there. You might see whales inside the fjords, or tuna swimming in the fjords, kingies in the middle of winter down there, big crayfish, the black coral. And then you dive Stewart Island, which is completely different again, and it's crystal clear water, golden sand beaches, big beautiful patches of paua, heaps of trumpeter, sea lions. Three Kings, amazing. We all know how amazing the Three Kings is. One of those places that you really just don't know what you're going to see on the day. Surprisingly cold. It can be 22, 23 degrees on the coast, and you get over there and you're like, oh, short aboard a 7 mil. It's really cold. But that's what makes it so good, because you get that cold water that hits the King Bank and then shoots up. To get the light, and that's what kicks off. That's why it's such an amazing ecosystem. But like Timmy shot an oarfish out there. You know, had a little oarfish.
Shot an oarfish.
An oarfish.
Oh my god!
So you know those big. Do you know what an oarfish is? Those big deep sea fish that wash up on the beach as a kid of a tsunami.
Yeah.
We had those paper nautilus busting up. Seen some cool sharks and stuff out there.
Which are octopus, right? Paper nautilus are actually like a type of octopus. Which
they're an argonaut. Yeah.
How cool is that?
Oh, wicked! I didn't know, but like obviously we did a bit of diving once we'd sort of come across what we come across, and it's a type of cephalopod. So what you're looking at is a female. It's the female that has the shell. They grow their shell.
And they grow their own shell
with a couple of particular arms that they have, and then what they do is they line the inside of their shell with their eggs, and then they just sort of hang out with their shell. I'm not sure for how long.
Those photos you took are sick. I don't know if they're recent photos, but you recently put some up, and they are. I've never seen that before. That's so cool. That's like once in a lifetime. You're not gonna see that again, eh?
No. That was from a few years ago. Actually, I think it might have been from one of our first episodes, maybe been filming for the Hunters Club when we went out there. But yeah, incredibly rare. I've seen paper nautilus shells wash up on the beaches and stuff and the sounds, but never seen anything alive. But yeah, the male of the species is only gets no bigger than 2 centimeters.
And my goodness!
He just like latches onto the female, has a particular tentacle that is the wee fella.
A lot of bang for his buck, eh?
Pretty good in proportions, to be honest. And then it rips off, and then anyway he dies, but they carry on and they keep.
Buddy.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were getting smashed. They were getting smashed by big trevally, big kingies were coming through and smashing them. The nautilus were like ditching their shells and just like gapping it, and like the mau was smashing them, snapper, and yeah,
oh gosh,
it was going off then.
Wow.
If you had to choose, like you're kind of saying, there's just so many places and you don't have a favorite. If you were like, I don't know, end of your days and someone's like, you can go back to somewhere you've dived or go to somewhere you haven't dived, are you more the kind of person that would maybe want to go somewhere new and unexplored then? I'm just guessing based on what you've said.
Yeah. There's definitely places. If it was my last dive, I may want to tick off somewhere a little bit more familiar. Three Kings, just because of the variety and you just never know what you're going to see. If I was spearfishing, but in terms of if I was going to explore new territory, I'd love to get over to like the likes of like Papua New Guinea or the Sollies and just get off the beaten track and just see what's around and try and chase some big doggies and get my ass and yeah, come home with
Wicked.
my legs. Hopefully get lucky. But doggies are just all time. They're just the gnarliest fish in
Have,
the pound for pound, man. They are.
have you shot one before?
Managed to get a couple. Well, so I think the biggest might be maybe up around that 40 kilo mark, you know. But I mean, I'd love to try and get something up, like sort of 50, 60,
Yeah.
70 plus, you know, because they are just gnarly. There's a diver there's a Nat Davey.
Mhm.
He's a real top Spearo. I was lucky enough to do a trip with him over to the islands, and he was saying that a 30 kilo doggy that he'd shot fought harder than the 110 kilo yellowfin that he shot over
No way.
in Ascension. Yeah, they give you a real spanking and they fight dirty.
Good Lord, that'd be fun. Like,
Yeah.
are you saying like a tuna like gives a good run, but then it stops, or like what is like, you know, a kingy, it thrashes around unless you shoot it good. Like, what is the difference? Like, does it just fight hard and dirty and as long as it can until it's in your hands, or?
And they're grunty. Like they're
Right.
surprisingly grunty. Like a kingy's got good power and you can feel the power, but like a doggy will always take you by surprise. Like
Really?
a doggy, which I mean, even a small doggy is still a good sized fish, you know, like 20 kilos, but you know, but they can still drag down a 3 atmosphere flow piece
Wow.
of the last one that I shot it right in the tail, you know, and then they had like one of those big 3 atmosphere floats that was underwater, and then the next one was on its way underwater, you know, and that's a shot which takes a lot of fight out of the fish, and you're always shooting them in obviously in the islands,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to try and get them past the sharks. They'll try and head down to the reef and they'll try and rip you off. They can easily tear your gear to pieces.
Right.
Yeah, they're a real heartbreak fish. So they often say that shooting them's the easy part.
Okay. Whereabouts do you try to shoot them?
Well, if you can get them stoned, beautiful.
Ideal.
So hard to get that done.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, like that back end shot is actually it's a surprisingly good shot. There's a lot of sinew in there.
Does hold.
Yeah. In
Okay.
terms of a holding shot, it's quite a good shot, and because that's where the tail is, and if you're constantly fighting where that tail is, it can actually take a bit of oomph out of them.
Wicked.
Otherwise, you just need to make sure that you just get a good holding shot with a slip tip, get them in somewhere where it's going to hold it nice and tight, and then just hope the sharks don't get to it before
Right.
you get it in your hands. It's why you'll never be diving for them alone. You always need to. If you got a good team with you, then you got people trying to keep the sharks and stuff away, second spears in them as quickly as you can.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely, like, and when I got my first one, oh man, I was just like one of those ones where you just like, holy shit, is this actually real? It's one of those fish you've always dreamed of shooting, and you get it in your hand, and it's just like, it's like screaming on the surface. It was such a fluke. We're so lucky diving this like deep sort of drop off in the islands. I think it was like 40 or 50 meters down to the sand, and it's just this sort of rolling deep edge. And there's a school of doggies that just wouldn't come in close, and I was getting bored of just not being able to shoot them. And I was like, oh, saw a manta ray. And I was like, oh, sweet, I'm gonna hang out with a manta ray. And then two good doggies sort of rolled in off the reef a little bit shallower, and just like perfect timing, managed to get a shot away. And
Oh, wicked.
yeah, the team helped keep the sharks and stuff away. I managed to get that.
Gave them the I don't care about you, and then wham bam, thank you, man. Well done.
Peak fish then. Maybe even if you get a 40 kg one, it probably won't feel the same. Like if you get your first doggy, then maybe that's like the peak feeling.
Yeah. Honestly, and I'd say even landing a smaller one it's not about the size.
No,
No.
it's not the size.
No.
Well, I hope you get a big boy one sometime soon.
One day.
That kind of leads in well. Like, I know you've kind of touched a little bit on like what it means to be a Spearo, but something that I've been thinking about with you, just as you're talking, knowing that you're going to be a dad soon. the whole
What,
Spearo
hey?
thing, I guess congrats, by the way. Very
Yeah,
exciting.
congratulations, you
Thank-
guys.
thank you very much.
Huge.
Exciting times ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, but making it Spearo obsessed related, because that's the kind of baby talk I want to talk about, spearfishing and babies.
That's right.
I'm just thinking about the fact you've been exposed to this community. Like, we know you started the New Zealand Spearo Forum Facebook group, which is huge, and like I've found all sorts of buddies through there, and yeah, just like it's an awesome community with, you've got South Seas Spearo's program that you're part of, but that whole angle of like you've been involved in that Spearo community and like what it means to you, a lot of that's come through already, like you being able to describe how it makes you feel, like your well-being, all of that. But do you think being a Spearo and like how you feel about it might change quite a lot when you become a dad in terms of like what that means?
Yeah, I definitely think my understanding of that question is that I think that my journey is going to change. It's been I wouldn't say a selfish journey, but it has been my journey up until now. But now starting a family and being a dad, like when I first sort of started out, I mean, I loved ticking things off for myself and experiencing things for myself, and being super fortunate to have done a fair bit of diving. That sort of naturally sort of transitioned to getting even more of a kick out of seeing my mates and helping my mates shoot their first kingies and stuff like that. And now that sort of starting a family, I know that that's going to change to that next sort of level and try and introduce my daughter to the world that I've loved and has sort of shaped me, and I'm excited for it. I know that things are going to change for me. I'm not going to be able to bounce around and do all the things that I've been able to do. Obviously going to have to be an adult for a bit.
Definitely.
I
You can
think
still do the cool things.
I can still do the cool things.
Yeah, for sure.
That hasn't dampened that, but knowing that is going to change hasn't dampened anything for myself, because I know
Okay.
that I'm going to be able to relive everything from the start through the eyes of
Yeah.
my daughter.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I don't traumatize her too much too early on, and she has, loves it just as much as I do, and we can sort of, journey together. Yeah.
One of the coolest experiences we've had is actually me and Laura went camping with my kids up north. And I took my daughter diving for like the second time maybe. And she was in like less than a meter of water, and just behind this little weed there was a school of squid that were probably about, I don't know, a centimeter to 2 centimeters big.
Yeah.
There was like probably about 5 or 6 of them. And I was like, watch this, Evie. And I just poked one, and they all shot off with their ink. And she still talks about that to this day. Like, that's over a year ago. There's like small things like that just really like can change them and be like, I can do this. Like, it's pretty cool, like sharing experiences like that.
That's so cool. I mean, I remember little bits and pieces like that from when I first started diving. I didn't start diving until I think my first time was like 12 or 13 or something like that, but being able to introduce the kids to all these amazing things like your starfish, schools of fish, and maybe seeing an octopus, and teaching them not to fear the stingrays and all of that sort of, it's going to be
pretty awesome, like speaking to your partner, who we haven't met, but she was lovely enough to answer some of our questions and stuff. Like, it's pretty cool having seen you exposing her to spearfishing as well. And like, she mentioned that she had some pretty interesting, scary-ish start-off experiences, which we know you've detailed in some other podcasts and stuff. But she said, you've ticked off heaps of firsts for her, and she's gone from being pretty nervous about seaweed and the seal encounters and stuff. And, she's obviously grown like a pretty big respect for you of like what it is that you're doing and how brave you are. But it's pretty cool, like thinking about you guys being able to, I guess, grow a little human and expose them to all of that ocean and hunting life right from, day dot. Like, that's kind of the Kiwi dream, really, isn't it? Being able to be out of nature and do that.
Yeah, I think so. And we're so lucky here in New Zealand to be able to do that. We can introduce them to see all these amazing things without having to go too far afield. Yeah, I'm actually really lucky to still be here to do this podcast after some of the experiences I've had with Emma.
No.
Just, like that seaweed is scary stuff.
Yeah.
The bull kelp, the Stewart Island bull kelp.
Honestly, like,
all seaweed.
on my back.
Ah!
It touched my leg. I mean, granted, like, it was maybe like 1.5 meter swell. It might have been like 30 centimeter viz, and we sort of
Yeah.
got a bit of a run. But no, she's done really well. She's going
Party.
from, and it was a reasonably sort of quick transition to going from like drowning me because seaweed touched her leg in
Yeah,
bad
fair
bit
enough.
to taking her out to the mussel farms out in Golden Bay, which in top of the South Island with the visitors and that flash, and swimming along these mussel lines with my little cousin.
Yeah.
And he came up to us and was like, "Hey, bro, we've got a massive bronze whaler behind us." And Emma's, "What?" I was like, "No," but she swam a couple more lines and then she got out and then we went to a different part of the farm. She actually put herself back in the water, and then the very next line that we swam up to, she ended up shooting her first kingy, which was like 12 or 14 kilos, which was
Solid.
so epic.
Solid. Yeah.
So epic. So yeah, no, she's done well.
That takes grit. Good on her. Good on
She
her.
said, she did say that in all of the stories, and we haven't actually shared all of them, but in all the stories she did share with us, she said, "You've both grown as divers." So I thought that was a cool way of putting it, that, you know, sometimes the tuakana like, you know, the teacher and the more experienced or not experienced one can both learn. So I thought that was a nice reflection from her.
That's spot on. Like the things that a lot of us Spearos with a bit more experience sort of complacent with, or you know, like quite confident around, you know, it's not the same for everybody, especially. So and yeah, as experiencing diving through her eyes has definitely taught me patience.
Cool.
a lot of patience, and to back things off and spend a bit of time looking at it from their point of view, so to say. And the stingrays might be scary, you know, and the seaweed might be out to kill you.
Any little daughter that has a hunt in a wild, and I know the joke's been made before, but if those are your names, your bloodline, that little girl is going to be a fierce weapon of the
Yeah.
ocean and the mountains by prediction. So
Hopefully.
Yeah, for sure.
hey, maybe
Or they'll be into
what would
your
happen?
IT,
What would happen
so-
if she hated both of those activities? That'd be terrible, right?
He
But
doesn't
I grew up,
he doesn't have a choice.
Yeah,
I grew up
yeah.
there stalking, and that was just to hang out and spend time with my dad. So
Yeah.
Cool.
How it
So when did you get into? How old were you guys when you got into the spearfishing?
Old man. Oh, like mine was like at the start of COVID, so 20 to 30. I was 30 when I started.
Yeah, wicked.
Yeah.
Wicked.
I mean,
I
I'm
was
not that
32.
old now.
Yeah, mum was like 4 years ago, so
Yeah.
not that long ago.
Epic. And
Yeah,
look at
we're
you guys are,
babies, but we got obsessed.
Yeah.
So
it happens. It
it
happens.
does. Yeah.
Honestly, if you could put the feeling that you get from the best feeling you get from spearfishing in a little pill and sell it as a drug, you'd make your millions.
My God,
You
right?
would. That's why hey, we're so obsessed we started a podcast, but that's why we wanted to learn off people like you and ask questions and capture people's stories, because, you know, who knows, well, someday one of your grandchildren may listen to this interview to hear about Grampy Wild. I don't know what you...
Pretty wild.
Well, that's awesome. Is there a specific like memory or time in the ocean that it's like that has impacted either your spearing journey or your life? Is there a moment that you've just been like, holy heck, like it can be something spearing or it can just be a moment in time that I don't know, that's really captured you, I guess?
Nah, not one particular moment. I definitely find myself out there sometimes, just sitting back and just fuck. You know, life's just like so good. I can't pinpoint one particular experience,
Cool.
but there's definitely been so many, and just all my fondest memories, and all it's all just tied in with doing what we do, you know.
Yeah. It's pretty
yeah.
special to be able to like make a living out of what you love. Like everyone says, don't work in what you love because, you know, then you won't love it as much. I say to them, like, that's absolute rubbish. Like, that's people who have been like, no, I'll do what's, you know, sensible. But actually, like, doing what you love every day is insane. And like being able to wake up and just be like, hell yeah, like another group, different canyon, like hell yeah, like it's awesome, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's the same for you diving. There's cold days where you put your wetsuit on, probably able to shake the ice off, but like awesome.
Yeah, no, 100% right, 100% right. Yeah. It's a shame that everybody doesn't have that feeling every time they go to work.
That's true.
But yeah, no, I think that a few of us have fallen into a very fortunate position where we do get to live our passion, work in our passion.
Mm-hmm.
It was always going to happen for me. I ended up working up in Auckland for a year or two, and it just sort of mentally broke me, and I just couldn't do the things that I love to do, and it sort of rearranged my priorities and sort of making money disappeared
Mm-hmm.
from the top, absolutely, and always prioritize enjoying what I'm doing above anything else. And then,
Yeah.
and it seems to have worked, everything else has followed, as long as I've got enough to sort of pay the bills and all the rest. It's somehow managed to work for the last few years and try and milk it for as long as I can. Obviously, having a wee girl turning up in the mix soon is going to change things up a wee bit, hopefully not too much. Very fortunate to have my partner, and we're going to try and sort of prioritize continuing to live the life that we live and just try and incorporate a baby into what we already do rather than sort of changing everything around that baby. So hopefully plenty good stuff ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because kids want to see their parents. You're teaching them how to be adventurous and how to live their life to the fullest as well, Yeah. Selling out your soul isn't going to teach them anything good.
No. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, speaking of, well, that doesn't lead into that at all. I'm not going to
It
segue
could.
that.
It
I'm not
could.
going to segue it.
I can segue that.
Buddies, dive buddies. I mean, hopefully your daughter one day is your dive buddy, but switching back to, we did ask a few of your regular dive buddies for some feedback. The general consensus from a few friends like Dwayne were that they didn't want to share stories about you because you've got too much dirt on them, which is often what we get from people, and that's when we know we've missed the real good stories.
Dwayne, keep your mouth shut.
We heard stories, and then later it was like, oh, actually, can you just not? No,
Yeah.
don't.
It was
don't say
like
that.
I think I asked like Tim and Dwayne and a few people, and I got like a one-line response, and within an hour or two, it was like, actually, hold on, don't say that. So
Oh yeah.
you've been saved by a few people, but we'll just say there was a few comments. We know you've shared the acid Bob yarn, and we know there's been some things about gingers and pubs and things, but we're just going to leave those there because you will know and other people will know, and I think that they can stay on the boat.
You just wait till South Seas Spearo comes out.
South Seas Spearo.
South Seas Spearo, the stuff that goes on after dark.
That's awesome.
Well, we have one story. I think it was my favourite from one of your friends' aunts, which I will share. And you can give your take on this, because I'm in no way would I ever be able to be the storyteller that this creature is, or yourself. But the basic detail I remember, because it was very impactful, was that it was a Fjordland trip, I'm pretty sure. There was rum, naked wrestling, and you got injured. You can choose to not share about that story, but I think that is enough of a teaser for people to know that it was probably a really fun time.
That sort of sums it up quite well. It sort of explains a little bit of everything. Plenty more to that story, including I will say like fire hoses, plates getting smashed overhead, and
Greek weddings.
A maritime report having to be written up with Ant in the skipper in the morning based on particular behaviours on the vessel during the trip. There's plenty of dirt on the boy. There's plenty of dirt.
We don't have to delve.
All right, we can ask
but it
you
actually goes well, because this person, Ant, who also said that about you, also said some lovely things. I'm going to read that to you. He said, he did talk about basically how you held his hand for his first everything in a respectful way, but he said, I thought this is so lovely. I don't even know the guy. He said, Sammy is the most talented person I've worked with in media. His knowledge of the ocean, his communication skills, and how good he is in the water behind a gun and camera is unparalleled.
Oh,
Oh,
that was really nice.
bless him. That's
Yeah.
Which is
that's
so
really
nice,
sweet.
unless he's
Far
just
out.
got a lot, unless you've got a lot of dirt on him.
I've got
That
a lot
might
of dirt
also
on him.
be,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
That's that. No, that's
I
not where
liked it.
that's not where that's coming from. No,
No, no way.
that sums up and beautifully. He's a beautiful man, beautiful soul, and it's been awesome having him involved with the show. He is, for those who don't know, he is the sexy, seductive voice who does our voiceovers.
Ah, yes, yes,
Also,
yes.
um the talent that comes on board when we really need to get the job done. He's been
Okay.
great. Whenever he's been on the boat, it's always such a good trip. So some of the
Yeah, he seems like a pretty like character of a dude, bit of a larrikin, but the freshest Spearo is kind of right. He's sort of the freshest.
yeah, big time. Yeah, big time. So we're there when he grabbed his first crate down in Fjordland with perfect technique,
Really?
the Viper technique. Yeah, no, absolutely smashed it out the park. He was got his first kingy up in the Bay of Islands with us. You know, it's just
Good.
or, just sort of viewing, seeing all these firsts with some of your mates, brings back the feelings that you had when you got shot your first kingy or grabbed your first crayfish. And yeah, any time spent with that human being is time very well spent. Yeah, love that, man.
He
Oh,
rated
that's so
you
cool.
as a buddy, and
That's
I guess
true.
the section is about kind of what do you think. It doesn't have to be about ants, obviously, but we asked sort of a few people feedback, and I thought that was the most lovely stuff we got about you. But if you had to describe what makes a good dive buddy, how could you summarize that?
Man, yeah, it's obviously you've got to. The most important element of having a good buddy is always the safety side of things. Someone who's not going to wander off after something shiny and sort of can hang out with you. But it's just being with someone who is enjoying what they're doing, has a good attitude. You feed off each other's attitude. You enjoy your time in the water so much more. Obviously, the safety element is number one. But yeah, just people who are just enjoying what you're doing as much as yourself, and bouncing off positive attitude and all the rest. It just makes your day so much more enjoyable. You stay in the water so much longer. And obviously, when we were spearfishing, it's always a mental game. You're in there, you're in your head, and anybody who can sprinkle any more sort of positivity and sort of keep that mindset nice and positive when you're in the water for the day it's always gold.
So good
Sounds like
vibe
you got a
person and
yeah.
someone who has your back. I like that.
Mm.
Sounds like you've got a pretty special crew altogether with your South Seas Spearo crew and all the
Yeah,
adventures you get to get up to.
I'm just the dude with the glorified GoPro. These guys are like legends of the sport.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so awesome sitting back and watching these guys dive. If I die young, it's going to be filming Dwayne Herbert. Honestly,
Right.
I tell you, these guys are amazing divers. Kieran, Timmy, Jules, Dwayne.
Mhm.
Honestly, like all of these guys. Some of New Zealand's best for sure in their own right at some level, and I'm really privileged to be able to just cruise around with the camera and follow them around and watch them and learn off them. Some things I'll never learn, some like the way that these guys manage to get close to fish it's insane. You hear this fish sense, and
Yeah.
it's true, man. Like there's just somehow that these guys always manage to put themselves in the right place, right time and pull something out of the bag in the toughest conditions where we need to make a show. We don't just turn up and go spearfishing and film what we see. We always have a goal set and we need to try and achieve a story to be able to tell with South Seas, and it's always when we're dealing with living animals who you want to shoot and they don't want to be
Mhm.
shot in a natural environment where you can very limited by the conditions. You plan a trip in advance and all the rest. It's amazing having these guys on board where they can, if you need to get the job done, they always seem to get the job done. But yeah, it's been
With
cool
you.
as an amateur Spearo or someone who's definitely not as experienced as these guys have been able to sit back and just learn, like the body language, where they position themselves, what they end up doing, where they do their drops, what rock they decide to drop on, what face of the rock, why they end up doing that. It's really fascinating to watch.
I was going to say, I had the joy of being even more amateur than you think you are compared to those guys diving with Jules recently in Rara. Wasn't super planned. And not only was he literally, like you're talking about fish sense, like he reckoned he hadn't dived in a while and he was rusty. I've never seen someone just go and be like, I was pretty much like with these girls and we're like, hey, we don't know what the fish look like, which ones have sig, blah, blah, blah. And it was just literally like I could have had a little catalogue and he just popped up and, oh, look, it's a coral trout. Here goes the next fish species. And I'm just watching him going like, this guy. And classic, I'm thinking, sweet, I'm going to be able to get a fish with jewels. And I've been yakking on the surface. My ears are gone. I go down about 5 meters and I was just like, yep, that would happen. Yep, cool. Probably one of the best people I'll ever dive with. And I've been spewing and I can't equalise.
Oh, did you get crook?
Yeah, I
She's
always get seasick.
ridiculous. She
Right.
gets seasick so hard. Like,
Oh,
she's
the
got so
time.
much
No.
grit. From the start, like in a lake, she'll puke. But then, like,
It's a
she
talent.
still goes diving like 6 to 8 hours a day and just powers through. Like, I've never seen anyone like it.
Oh,
Anyway,
you're a
that's
weapon.
That's
She's
a crap
weapon.
yarn.
Imagine if she didn't have seasickness. God, watch out. world.
Supporting that,
There wouldn't
though,
be any
Jules,
fish left.
Jules is a
There
weapon.
wouldn't be any fish left. Yeah, it's for conservation. Conservation's views.
Yes,
So,
conservation.
good job.
Yeah,
thank
but I agree with you. We also actually spend a lot of time diving with both of Dwayne's brothers, Toby and Todd. And
Okay.
again, it must just be like and we've obviously talked to Herb on here. It must just be in the blood. Those humans, it's like they can genuinely just freakish fish sense and extremely good breath hold. I don't know. It's amazing to watch.
Yeah, they are. And they're bloody good lads too, that whole family, the Herberts. Cause the depth of many ocean critters.
This is true.
They're bloody good at what they do.
And Dwayne and Kieran heading to the Worlds pretty soon as well.
Yeah.
Just-
Hey, epic,
And
epic
Chris
is that.
Marshall.
Over
Yeah.
in Brazil. Yeah. Wish the boys all the best, eh? It's a shame that we're such a small country with such limited resources. They're up against some of the guys, and spearfishing's a bigger sport over where they're from, and they've got more resources to get over and spend a lot more time scouting, have better stuff available to them, But the boys always seem to do really bloody well, and I know that this competition is going to be no different. But yeah, we'll definitely be rooting for the boys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the coolest things about New Zealanders. Like, I know we toot our own horn, but like for such a small country, we rock in like sporting goods.
Yeah, we punch above our own weight for sure.
Yeah,
And we've got some bloody good divers, and I think to qualify for the Worlds, you have to do those spearfishing competitions, competing in like the nationals and all the rest. And that's something that I really enjoyed when I was sort of coming through the ranks. Fuck, I did terrible in these competitions. But it was always so good rubbing shoulders with some of these guys. You got like your Jackos and your Besties and your Dwaynes and your Jules and stuff like that, and being able to sort of rub shoulders with some of those guys, and they've like they'll be. I mean, they compete so well on the world stage. They're not just New Zealand's best divers, but they're some of the best divers in the world, and they're such relatable blokes, and having the opportunity to compete in the same competition as them and get to yarn to them in competitions, that's one benefit of doing a sport that we do in such a small country.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And just
Yeah,
the accessibility is
We've
wild.
had the same sort of joy watch. I mean, I get to watch Elise compete. That's how I got into it. She taught me to dive, and I got into competing because of her. But we get to see Alex Edwards, or had for the last couple of years, just absolute weapon as well, like on the world class stage, and just real humble and just does her thing. Obviously an Aussie now, but yeah, you just don't get that in other sports where you get to just watch people who are that good because you've gone to like a local comp. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the way that how well she did in the last Worlds, it's so epic.
Yeah. And nosy feet. Like, I mean, it's expensive to go to Worlds. It's like, what is it, like probably going to take you about 15 grand to get there, to dive, to pay for the boats, to, it's not just a competition. Like, I think the entry fee is like 3 grand New Zealand. Like, it's like you're putting it all in if you're going to go there. Like, you've got your heart set on that, which is pretty cool. I'm excited for the boys to do really well.
Is Alex heading over to Brazil? Have you caught up with her?
Nah, she's not heading over.
Oh.
Nah, she's an Aussie.
Living the
Living the dream. Chasing around those purple cod. Yeah. What do you find spearfishing does for your well-being?
Yeah, I've sort of
We've
touched on
kind
a
of
lot of
covered it.
yeah, sort of
Yeah.
touched on a lot of that. But yeah, man, well, it was everything for me. Like I'm living down in Christchurch now, and getting into the water, it's a hell of a lot harder than it has been living in Nelson or even like living in Auckland, and especially when I was living in Wellington. You know, the diving was always so accessible. It's a lot harder now, and I definitely have noticed that my overall well-being definitely suffering for it. You know, diving's a big, once you become a Spearo, it's a really big part of your identity. Pretty hard to get out. I've had to sort of force myself into the hills to try and get that sort of same match. But like for me, like you guys would have spoken about it with Tim, like the mental health side, with the mental health side of things. A lot of us, a lot of us out there battle with bits and pieces, and diving is always a pretty necessary escape for a lot of us. So
Yeah.
that's a big one for me. Is I just find it a necessity for my well-being. My well-being exists based around sort of the ocean. And yeah, I've definitely sort of become more and more aware of that by removing myself from a wee bit by being down here in Canterbury. Sure.
Mm. Do you
Yeah.
get many days, or is it just like soup?
Yeah, a lot of the time the viz is just rubbish. You know, in the summer and
Okay.
stuff, you can make a little bit more of an effort and head out wide and try and chase the kingies and stuff, which is a bit of fun. But I always try and head back up to Nelson, see my family, and do a bit of local diving out on around the mussel farms and the Marlborough
Okay.
Sounds, Tasman Bay and Golden Bay. But luckily, you know, like I get to have the amazing opportunity to jump behind the camera and go to some awesome
Yeah.
places with the boys. You know,
Yeah.
Chauzy, who runs the show, he's got the Hunters Club and South Seas Spearos. Yeah, we've been so bloody lucky with that bumping into him and convincing him to chuck us riff-raff together to try and make a bloody TV show. You know, so if I didn't have the show, I wouldn't be in Christchurch. There's no way.
Yeah.
I'd have to be immersed myself in a lot more. But yeah, definitely get some awesome opportunities there, which sort of balances out the fact that I can't sort of dive around local waters too much. The visibility is just rubbish. But I mean, it's amazing when the vis is good, you know. But that visibility sort of protects this local fishery so well. You know, there's crayfish and stuff everywhere.
It's like diving out west.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
West
get 1
Coast
or
is
2 days a year, and it's bloody good. But after that, you're like, and all the fish are like, "What? Someone's chasing me? What's this about?"
yeah.
But,
How
how did South Seas Spearo start? Like, how did you guys? Were you all just having a rum and chatting about what you could do, or how'd that go?
It's all started through Dave because he had his Hunters Club TV show. He had
Okay.
a bunch of sort of good blokes involved in filming a hunting show, and Timmy, who's on board with the show, he's a mad keen Spearo freediving instructor. He's like, look, mate, Dave, like, why don't you give the spearfishing thing a go? It's the underwater equivalent of hunting. So
Uh-huh.
the Coromandel, I think we went out to Great Barrier Reef and Great Barrier Island out off Aotearoa Island and gave it a bit of a run. And
Cool.
awesome, got some good footage. Jules got on board and shot an awesome kingy off a weed life. Now, so when we shot that fish, he was diving. He was obviously pretty fit then. His breath hold's always amazing, but me and Timmy were taking turns filming him. And what I mean by that is me and Jules would go down together. Jules would stay down there. I'd run out of breath, so I'd have to come up. Timmy would be meeting me part way. He'd grab the camera, go down and finish off filming Jules' breath hold.
My
But
goodness.
I was lucky enough down there when this big beautiful 30-kilo kingy came cruising in, and you got some wicked footage of that. But that's where it all started, and I think it was really well received. We did one more episode up to the Kings, and then you just chit chat over a few beers as the boys do, and decided to run a show. And yeah, fuck, I keep saying. I mean, yeah, it's obvious that we're all super lucky to be involved, you know. But we've known each other for so long now. You're not going to work with workmates. You're going. It's just a boys' trip.
Yeah.
And there's cameras involved, and we get to tell the story we get to showcase what we're lucky enough to get up to, you know. So it's pretty bloody awesome.
That's so great. No, I love that. And I love the banter. It like makes the fun of the show, you know.
Yeah, there's
That's
Dave
good.
there. I love that Dave does that. He's a master storyteller, you know, but he keeps all the rough stuff in. Like we're not going like nothing. You probably noticed, but like nothing scripted, you know, like
Right.
literally
Is
just
it really? No.
Right.
and everything just
No,
like
you
probably
can definitely tell that it's natural.
it probably should be scripted, and it probably needs to be a little bit more filtering.
Yeah.
But I think the way that he communicates the show is, you know, like we go out and it's just like a boys trip. You know, you're going out with mates, you give each other shit, you jump in the water, you shoot some fish, you have a bloody good time, you cook up a feed, have a couple of beers at the end of it. You know, and I think that's relatable to the audience as opposed to having things too sort of cut and polished and a bit too scripted. I
Yeah,
think that's
that's
what sort of
definitely
sets
why
his stuff
I
aside from the rest.
That's definitely why I enjoy it. I think one of my favourite episodes, and Elise was looking at this recently, is the one where you and I think it's Dwayne, you get off the boat and you go shoot a deer and then you swim the deer back.
Yeah, yeah.
Just because my dad's like, he knows I'm into spearing now and he's froths it and we just bring each other up and he just talks to me about cricket and hunting and I talk to him about spearfishing. And I remember when he saw that and he just like, he doesn't really know how to use technology. He's trying to like screenshot the bit on the TV with his phone of like
Oh,
where you guys have got the deer and the spearfishing and he's like, this right here, this is New Zealand. You know, like he's just, I was just like, yeah. It's like,
mean. Oh, that's so cool. Was it the one where I missed the deer a couple of times? Was it that one?
yeah. Yeah, you're
Okay,
pretty mad
all right.
about that by memory.
While we're here, all right, on camera. If you haven't seen the episode, don't worry. But if you have seen the episode, he hadn't sighted his gun in, and all the ammo that we had were all different brand. Anyway,
So-
Workmen
the
don't
Indian.
blame their tools.
We got it.
You got it.
We got it.
You got it.
Oh, it's funny.
And
Dave put it up on the
can't say
internet.
many other people have got that. So you're
Can I
fine.
side quest? Can I side quest a hunting related kind of question?
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
what was I going to say? Oh, we were talking about the well-being thing and like, because Elise has done a bit of, we've done some possum shooting at my dad's down in Manawatu and she loved that. She hasn't got her deer yet. We will get her one. And I was thinking like when you're talking about the well-being side, you're an avid hunter and I kind of feel like you're a little bit like me, maybe that like when you can't go spearfishing as much, you definitely still want to get some, you know, sustainable food brought home, get out in nature. But would you say, like, well-being wise, the water does affect you differently than, say, like walking in the hills and hunting, even though they can't really compare them?
Yeah, it's comparable in a way, but I definitely think the water is where I get my fix. You know, the fact that you're just so immersed and everything's relatively quiet, it has almost that meditative effect, and you're forced to spend time, unless you're hunting, say, by yourself. You're forced to spend time with yourself, and your thoughts. The hunting definitely does the same for me in a way, but there's just a lot more misery involved because I'm just so unfit. And my skinny little diver legs can't carry the shit that I need to carry. So there's always a lot more misery involved, but I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I compared to someone the other day, they said something and I said, oh, hunting I feel like it's a bit harder because I was trying to learn to bow hunt. And I said, if a group like blue mau swim across, I know I can get a blue mau, but it's not like a group of little bunny rabbits comes across every time I go hunting and I can take some bunny rabbits on.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
said, it's kind of like how it feels. It's like a lot harder to get food when you go hunting, for me anyway, because I'm not very good at it. But
yeah, definitely. Well, it's so easy to get a good feed, and we're so fussy and we're so spoiled. You know, your blue mau are amazing. A lot of the fish
Yeah.
that we get to eat are amazing. We just want some of the fish that are maybe a little bit, I don't know, a little bit funner. I don't know. Like we go for our snapper and stuff like that, you know, but you swim past 10,000 fish that would as a beautiful world class table fish to go for sort of stinky old snapper. We're very lucky to have the abundance that we have. Man, the lucky's the word.
Lucky's the word,
when it
for
comes
sure.
to the spearing, like we are very fortunate. But yeah, to have the abundance that we have in the water, well, I guess we can afford to be fussy.
Yeah.
never swim
Um,
past pigfish, that's what I
Never
say.
swim past the pigfish.
Is that what
Okay,
you say?
I don't-
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Love pigfish.
This
Yeah.
is the
Me and
New
Elise
Zealand
has got
record
an
holder for
ongoing.
pigfish.
Yeah, we've got Elise reckon we've got an ongoing battle. Never properly claimed the record. It just keeps sitting in freezers. So yeah, Sam, linking into you haven't talked heaps about commercial diving, but we know based on you literally talking how much wisdom you have around your study part of the ocean and what you know on that side of it. So I guess we were quite interested to know how you think your study background impacts your spearfishing, and are there any like current topics that you want to mention around spearfishing and conservation in the marine environment? Like, for example, the kina barons and stuff like that? Just because you'd be such a knowledgeable person on so many of those kind of topics?
Yeah, I've definitely got a bit of a controversial take on the old kina barons, but I feel like I'm in a pretty lucky position to have the sort of like the marine biology and ecology background, being a recreational Spearo, and as well as sort of having a foot in the commercial camp as well. Yeah, just like touching on the kina barons, that's obviously a pretty hot topic at the moment, especially for people up in and around the Hauraki Gulf, where we are seeing these kelp beds and stuff disappearing, and these kina barons. There's a couple of things that wind me up a little bit about this, and it's just sort of not necessarily the narrow-mindedness from. I won't go into talking about them. But the sole topic of conversation is always based around the predator imbalance. So the predator imbalance is where we feel that we have overfished the predatory species of kina, such as your crayfish and snapper. Those are the top two that are always sort of spoken about, which has led to an overabundance of kina, which are eating out the kelp. I personally think that that's a part of what's going on, and that we sort of need to incorporate a little bit more into the conversation. And the more that we can sort of all have a little bit more of an understanding, or even just sort of thinking about different ideas, if we can sort of take that along with our journey in the water, I feel like it can only help our marine environment. And sort of like, I don't think that the predator imbalance is the full story. And the reason why I think that is my home waters in Nelson. So when we studied marine biology, we had two examples of failed fisheries commercially. One is the orange ruffy. So that's a deep sea species. So basically, we just didn't understand the species enough when we were fishing them. Didn't realize they reached sexual maturity until they were 15 years old. And so we're pulling out fish that weren't contributing to future stocks. And then the other example was the Tasman-based snapper fishery, where that was commercially fished down to such a small population that they were worried that the population that was left was going to have such a small gene pool that there was risk of a particular disease wiping the rest of that population out. But what we are seeing now in Tasman Bay is an explosion, a massive abundance of snapper returning to the bay over the last wee while. But that is coinciding with kelp barons, kina barons that we are seeing at the exact same time. So what we are left with at the moment is a massive abundance of predatory species, these snapper, at the same time that our kelp forests are disappearing. So when we're doing the commercial spearfishing with Timmy, doing a lot of diving around D'Urville Island, and all the rest, and where we were diving for butterfish, we now can't go back to because there's no kelp. So I don't think that it's just the predators that are the issue. I think that a lot of it is environmental conditions. So what we're seeing is potentially these warm water events that are kicking off. And I think the two things happen in these warm water events. I think that one is it increases the metabolic rate of kina, which basically means that they just need to eat more based on their environment. And at the same time, I think that during these marine heat waves and these warm water events, that it actually affects the weed in a way that it makes it lethargic, which makes it more susceptible to predation. So I don't necessarily, and there will be science that shows that the population of kina is definitely expanding, but I think that it's also environmental cues that are changing their behavior. And you've got an existing population that's potentially doing a lot of the damage. And when you get this weed that does end up being lethargic, it also makes it more susceptible to potentially storm events as well. You get a warm water event that coincides with some shit weather that comes through, it can actually end up ripping kelp and stuff off the rocks and all the rest. And then kina would definitely come into play with it's sort of the re-establishment of weed. But I think that our changing marine environment in terms of potentially like temperatures and all the rest is going to have more of an impact, I think, than our predator imbalance. The crayfish have definitely been hammered. But, you see it in like the Chatham Islands, big kelp forests that were over there. They were there one summer and then a whole bunch of them just disappeared.
Wow.
We're not necessarily seeing, and that's a really intact ecosystem over there in terms of obviously very healthy in terms of their crayfish.
Yeah.
Same with the cod and stuff like that. They eat those smaller kina. So it's happening there. Parts of Fiordland and stuff, it's happening as well. So there just needs to be a little bit more of a sprinkle. And I fucking hate that kina have now been labelled as an invasive species.
Yeah.
You
And
know, if they're a native, they're such an integral and key part of our ecosystems. You know, like you learn in ecology that just ecosystems are so fragile. We've thrown a whole heap of shit out of whack. But going through and talking about these kina as an invasive species, no, they're native. They're super important in every marine ecosystem around New Zealand. You get kina from Auckland Islands up to the Three Kings, you know, and everywhere in between, you know, and we don't really want to be going through and wiping them, exterminating them, thinking that all they're doing is eating kelp. They've been doing what they've been doing for a millennia. So just little bits and pieces like that, sort of just adding a little bit more into the narrative. You've got certain organisations that are just driving the whole that anti-commercial side of things, and it's very easy to blame the commercial side of that. That's an easy one. The predator imbalance is because the commercials are taking all of our snapper and they've taken all of our crayfish. And I think that fueling that narrative is incredibly dangerous for our fisheries as well. Fueling that division within New Zealand and making people choose, putting people in a camp of being like you're either on the commercial side or you're not. It's fueling that division, you know, like the only way we're going to move forward in managing our fisheries, you know, we have three vested interests in our marine environment. You've got the recreational sector, the commercial sector, and the customary rights that come along with it, you know. But I think we all need to be working together as best as we can, and when it comes to our fisheries management, as opposed to just sitting there pointing the finger, being like, because it's we all have a responsibility. We've got the NZ Spearo Forum. I think there's like 24,000 Spearos on there at the moment. You know, like Wellington's a really good example. You know, there's no commercial fishing. There's no, say, for the power. There's no commercial. There's no commercial operation out of Wellington. You know, and all the impacts, and I've seen it through my time diving out there, how things have changed over the years, and that's fully recreational. And if we just sort of sitting here, just pointing the finger, being like, "Well, I'm not going to change my diving behaviours. They're not going to take any less. If anything, I'm going to start taking more because I'm being told that the commercial guys are raping and pillaging." And that's just going to escalate things. You know, we all have a bit of a responsibility of looking after our home. You know,
we do. Yeah, and even in like in my short amount of time diving, like 5 years, like going in, like the other weekend I went diving up north, in like a pretty pristine location, and like I remember going there with Laura and Liz, and the place was alive. You know, you can hear the kina, plenty of fish just on the reef, like when you first go out. And I mean, like with Kalupa, like it's just completely smothered the entire thing, and it's like there's still fish, but it's quiet now. Like you can't hear the kina, you can't hear, like it's a different place. It's like, this is not great. Like, I mean, I don't know how to fix that.
That's a scary one, and they haven't been able to do it. They haven't been able to do it overseas. I mean, there's the Gaia hypothesis where it's just as the Earth is self-regulating, and that the same can be said about ecosystems in their own sense. You know, like let's take kina for example. You know, like kina, if they come through and they wipe out a kelp bed, then there's no food available to them, and then what ends up happening is they become dormant. They don't have the energy. They don't have the food to be able to put that energy into reproducing. You know, like you kina row with sperm and eggs. The reason why kina barons are so skinny is because they don't have the energy to be able to reproduce. So you've got that big pocket of kina now, that population of kina that's not going to be contributing to future stocks, which in a way is a self-regulating mechanism. I think that what's left behind is just definitely going to slow down the re-establishment. And we can actually touch on your pigfish. The conversation is always about...
Tell me bad things.
No, they're great. Kill them all. No. So you see, everybody always talks about the snapper and the crayfish, but there's a lot of other reef species that predate on kina as well. And what they're finding Jules, I've only spoken to him briefly about bits and pieces. You'd have to talk to him a little bit more on this, but what they're finding up there is they're finding that a lot of the new Spearos coming through, having a bit of an impact, and maybe part of the issue on kina barons up there, where as we jump in the water as a new diver, we're obviously diving in the shallows and on the reef, and we've got the red monkey swimming past, and the pigfish, and the sand daggers wrasse, and all of these species, the blue monkey and
Poroi.
stuff as well, the poroi, absolutely, maybe even the porori, they all predate on kina in different stages of life, you know. And if you're taking out all these reef species, the red monkey, sorry, super long lived and help regulate their local reef, they can have an impact too as well. So in terms of the predator imbalance, and including a few more of these other species as potential predators for these kina as well, and if we can leave a few more of them on the reef, then we might start seeing some positive changes. But it's just about sort of adding a little bit more into the mix.
You make a good point about like all of that, but I just can't get past the bit. It's just the vocab, like even because I think you're very right about not making sure, and I've probably contributed it to at some points from being uneducated, like the divide between commercial and recreational. You know, a couple of years ago, I wasn't even interested in recreational fishing, didn't know anything about commercial fishing, and now I spearfish, and I know about that. But when you're in it, you're busy trying to learn all of those things to understand it, to do the right thing, and every person you talk to's got a slightly different opinion. But even something as simple as the word invasive, like one word, one piece of vocab that can kind of miseducate or misconstrue like different things. It's pretty crazy how much you can I guess get wrong or do without knowing as well. Like it's
It's pretty scary. There's people who are trying to push to eliminate every single kina around Little Barrier Island, you know, and it's easy to paint an argument as to why that should be done. You know, it's going to eat all our kelp if we don't get rid of the kina. All of our kelp forests are gone. If you put your head in any kelp forest in any bit of reef, there are kina all through every reef system. They coexist. That's just what they do. But I think that having that mindset, which everybody's sort of behind, where we need to sort of eliminate certain things, that's going to have a massive detrimental effect moving forward and sort of reestablishing and moving towards healthier ecosystems. Like even like moving along, like swimming along with a hammer and smashing them all up. You know, like the roe that we eat out of a male kina or a female kina is eggs and sperm. If you go along and smash everything up, you're just releasing eggs and sperm into the water column, and you're potentially creating a
Big old jizz fest.
Yeah, big old
using the shit out of them all.
a big old kina
orgy.
orgy. It's like out of Nelson, there was an invasive species of starfish that came through. So the diving club got together and they went through and they mowed them all down. They just went down with a pair of scissors. They cut them all up to go and kill them. Every single piece of starfish turned into like a whole new starfish.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the taramea, because in Rarotonga when I was there, we went to help. Well, I didn't do a very good job of this. They went and tried to eradicate some of the taramea, which is this, you'd know what it's called.
Oh, that's the coral eating starfish. Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be like a starfish type kina, and then I saw them and I was like, these are huge. And the same thing, now they've blanketed everywhere, and they've tried. I won't get on a big rant about this because you probably know more about it. But it's crazy how those different approaches to managing that in different countries, and seeing, say, like how little fish there were in Rarotonga. Like I was just like, oh, like I can't believe this has happened. And people going down by hand to remove these to try and save their reef.
Yeah. It's a shame that it's gotten to that point where it requires individual effort and such massive resources to try and, you know, save their oceans. You know, the fact that it's even managed to get to that point sucks ass. And we haven't learned from all of our mistakes in the past, but hopefully we can.
We haven't.
Do a better job moving forward. If we can remove a little bit of ignorance and be a little more open-minded about what's going on with our fisheries, it's something going to help things moving forward for our future generations.
What is your thoughts on like catching snapper? Like I know you can get a lot of assholes for getting snapper. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
And also the milky snapper. Like I haven't caught any milky snapper yet, but like
yeah. Well, that's
you
another.
can see them in there. Some of them look like zombies. You're like,
Yeah.
"Ugh."
So it's a big thing up north. We're not seeing heaps of it down here, but again, apparently it's being painted as a starvation event, which just doesn't make any sense to me. At the same time that we have an overabundance of food because of these kinderbarrens, it's funny that we've got overabundance of food and a starvation event at the exact same time. I think again that is based on the changes in environment. I think that with these warm water events that we are experiencing, that there's more parasites, or more parasites. It's a better environment for parasites to be able to thrive, or particular bacteria. Qdoa is a type of a species of parasite, I think it is, and I think that that's potentially what could be affecting some of our snapper. It's basically where it infects the host and attacks the fibers in the muscle tissue, which is I think what we're seeing in Australia is seeing a lot of it, and they're seeing it move down the country a lot more. Pelagic fish over in the islands and stuff as well, and it makes sense that if we're experiencing warm waters, we're maybe seeing something along those lines. I think the starvation have been stuff that not as many people are talking about these snapper, but I think that's what was going on for sure. But yeah, people do get all up in arms about, like for us as Spearos, we're able to be in the water and we have the most selective method of harvest that you could possibly have. I see that fish, I want to shoot it, and if there's a bunch of snapper and we see the big one, we quite often end up shooting it. And there is that sort of graph that sort of shows, like the size of the fish to its fecundancy, which is its sperm or egg output. But it also gets to a point where, similar to what we were talking about before with the energy requirement and the gonads, I think that was the kinner. The same sort of thing happens where the fish becomes so big that its energy requirement, the basic function, it gets to a size where it doesn't have the energy and resources to be able to have that output, to where it is able to reproduce. And fish actually get to a particular size where they can absorb their gonads because they just can't. But
That's interesting.
It does get to a certain point.
Kind of like old dudes.
Yeah, kind of like old dudes. Well, that's exactly right. Like
I'm just a bit tired.
With a lot of species, your breeding is done. Your main breeding is done at a particular age, and sometimes, I'm all for, if you catch a big snapper and you want to keep it, fucking sweet as, man. That's bloody. If you want to release it, that's bloody awesome. And I don't like the whole catch and release culture where there's been a few moments where they sort of look down on us Spearos, because we definitely do not release anything that we catch.
Yeah, catch and release doesn't work out as well
but there's a lot more mortality involved in that sort of sport fishing. I've been in the water seeing a 50-60 kilo bluefin tuna being released, and I've watched it swim down until it hit the thermocline, and then it just went belly up, and then just sank and died. You get to the surface, everybody's hooting and hollering and high-fiving and congratulating. There's a lot more of that happens below the surface.
People that film and dive at depth, and like they release them, especially if it's from a depth in the float bladder, like even like they say, like piercing the float bladder. So they release them, everything's all happy days, yay, we did it, great job, and we feel so good about it, and then they like swim to the bottom and die. And so it just makes you go, yeah, okay, is that actually like what? Just because you can't see it happening doesn't mean it's not happening.
Yeah, for sure, and it doesn't, like the mortality doesn't necessarily happen straight away. You got that barrow trauma where you've got say like an air sac, and as you come up from the depths up into shallow, that expands. It can do internal damage, and it can be hard for fish to get down. There's research that shows there's a lot more mortality involved than what we think. But us Spearos, we know that what we pull the trigger on is something that we want to eat. Definitely. I love that people catch and release. You just don't need to give us Spearos too much shit for.
Well, the one fish we get versus like the 10 fish that they get. Like, when do we ever get 15 fish?
We would have. It'd be good. If you had like a little suction cup thing, you like suck it on the side of a kingy and have like the fight, and then sweet, release it, let it go.
That could be a new sport, suction cap,
Yeah.
spearing.
South Seas suckers. It's going
South Seas suckers.
stuck on a
That's
fish.
probably not the title you want to have for your TV show, but
Might get
depends on the
close.
area of the internet you're really looking at. But I mean, if it pays, it pays. Everyone's got a niche.
Might get a different audience.
You might get a different audience. They'll be quite surprised when it's like an actual fish. We're like, hey. When you first started spearing, if you could go back and give little Sammy one hot tip, what would it be?
Just chill, bro.
Just chill, bro.
Yeah. Chill. Go and do a dive course. Honestly, just like understanding and developing those good habits to start with, and starting your spearfishing journey with good habits is a massive asset. I never did that. I still haven't done a freediving course, and I need to, and I wish that I had, because it's just like I'll be on the surface and I'm just like, I don't want to be here. Just dive back down with my little woolen socks and my orange fins and my little yellow rubber fins, and it's just like my diving was just the most inefficient way of diving you could possibly. But just like starting off with those good habits for sure, and I think a big one is just chill on the shooting.
Mm-hmm.
You
don't have to shoot everything.
Nah, you don't. Honestly, like
No.
a good Spearo isn't defined by the amount of fish that you shoot. Absolutely not. Like the general sort of progression of a Spearo, I find, is you go through and you want to pull the trigger on absolutely everything, and then as you probably go through your spearfishing career, you find yourself just being a lot more selective, shooting a lot less. Maybe because you realise that filleting 20 butterfish,
sucks, especially butterfish.
and it's especially butterfish. And it's a lot of work, but like you don't need to be going out and shooting absolutely everything. If you can sort of skip that part and sort of just try and focus on a few key fish, and just the more you shoot doesn't make you a better diver. Just get enough for a feed. And we've got that rule on the Spearo forum, and we don't want those no death piles. We want to try and encourage that. We've got a sport that is just so accessible to everybody. It doesn't take pop in and get yourself set up. It's like all the gear that's available it's cheap for what it is. You can get yourself some mean setup from Weddy or Ocean Hunter for bugger all, and then you're sorted and you're away.
You're away.
But if we can encourage all of these new divers that are coming through to just maybe think about pulling the trigger a little bit less, it's just going to leave more fish in the water and quicken that progression of fucking your 20 thin fish are not coming out until you're feeling to being a little bit more selective.
And I guess being okay with sometimes just not taking anything home. Like, I feel like right at the start, I'd shoot things and I'd be like, heck yeah, and I've always got dinner because, heck, I was eating like porori and thinking that they're amazing at that point. Then you start to get a bit more selective, but then you start to learn to hunt. And you learn probably by a lot of mistakes and like scaring the other fish and being too loud and la la la. But then you start getting like one or two, like really good ones. And so, so it kind of changes things for that, which is, cool.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just can't be asked. Like, you're knackered after a big day, and the last thing you want to do is and even the next day, you're normally pretty rooted too. You don't want to do a massive filleting session. I mean, it's me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get yourself a feed, and you can hand some fish out to your mates and all the rest and your family. But if you've overdone it the day before, it's a big filleting session can. Suddenly
you feel so generous giving it all away. It's nice being able to do it on the boat when they're big enough and you can keep the frame to be like, this is fine. That's real nice being able to go home and just not have to do anything.
Sam, I know we're coming to the end of our yarn with you, but we have a few more juicy ones. And I guess, we wanted to know, you rub shoulders and have rubbed shoulders with quite a lot of legends, but if you thought that a really quality chat, an enjoyable and entertaining chat would come from some people, who do you think we should talk to on here? And is there any one of those people inspired you, like amongst your spearfishing and camera action journey?
Yeah, Timmy Barnett, I'd say. Timmy Barnett, who's on the show. He's not only someone who I've been fortunate enough to work with on the show, but me and him worked together out of Nelson for a few years, and he's definitely helped to shape me to help be the diver that I am now. He's definitely one of my really, really good mates. And in terms of storytelling ability, Timmy is an absolute master. I'd say that 90% of his yarns are definitely for After Dark, R18.
Perfect.
But he's traveled the world spearfishing. He's a freediving instructor. Top to bottom, New Zealand spearfish absolutely everything. The only man I know who's managed to shoot himself an oarfish, and as well as helping to pioneer the whole that commercial spearfishing sector, which is up and coming.
And was on Country Calendar, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. I was on there too.
Were ya?
That's a highlight. As soon as I got to get my footage in behind that Country Calendar jingle.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a career highlight. Well, that was with that commercial spearfishing we were doing part of Victoria Channel.
Oh yeah.
Timmy and his operation and his family and stuff like that, based out of the Moon Tree. Yeah, he'd definitely be a good man to have a chat to. But honestly, like I've got so much respect for all of these, all the Spearo boys that I film with. Kieran, he's highly decorated as a Spearo, of course. Julian and Dwayne as well, and all of these super salty sea dogs have got some amazing stories. They've travelled the world and seen some amazing things. Yeah, like the Jules with his tuna wrangling and the sharks that he was dealing with, and Kieran overseas shooting marlin with some of the super yacht stuff that he's done.
Ooh.
And Dwayne, of course, with all the stuff that he's seen over in Australia and everywhere in between. Yeah, all of those guys are a wealth of knowledge, and if you can tap into some of that, there's some absolute gold in there.
Wicked. I think we are meant to be interviewing Kieran pretty soon, so we'll be stoked to chat to him about that.
Yeah.
He'll be good chat.
Yeah.
And Jules and Renee have been on the harassment list for a while. So there's a few of you that we've had on now when we decided to start a podcast list. It's just we love the idea of meeting people in person and having chats, but it's a little bit harder when we all live in different places. But they'll all be people who we definitely have on the harassment list.
Cool. Just you just got to burly Jules in with a few beers, I think. Just put a pile of beers and a microphone in the middle, and you'll be
you're burly in our Spearos. Sam, can you finish with a story? The tuna that you got off the west coast.
Yes, Dwayne's tuna.
Yeah.
Honestly, I reckon that is probably one of the best days of my life. It was just epic. We shot out of Milford in a trailer boat with the hope of trying to shoot a tuna. The day was so quiet and so dead, and nothing was really going our way. Like things like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We hadn't even put our wetsuits on, and we caught a little albacore. And for sort of tokens, just to keep Dave happy, we decided to put our wetsuits on and caught an albacore on the rod, and we just ended up sitting in the water, hoping another albacore might come in. Sort of just staring. The albacore went off the rod and ended up staying in the water for a little bit just to again keep Dave happy. And then out of nowhere, I just looked down and there was just a school of bluefin tuna.
Wow!
It came out of nowhere, and I'm just screaming and I'm just like, trying to fucking look up, and Dwayne's already seen them and he's into them. And I look at what Dwayne's shooting with, and we've had this beautiful double roller 120, like set up for the big fish, and what that Dwayne had in his hand was like a half perished single rubber 120 kingy gun.
Oh my goodness!
And if anybody else was in that situation, it wouldn't have worked out. But anyway, Dwayne managed to shoot down with this little pea shooter and put the shot into this big, beautiful bluefin tuna. So it went from just zero expectations, let's just do something, and then turn around and go home, to all of a sudden this amazing fish. It was was on the line, and we actually ended up managing to get it in, and it was just so unexpected. Like the hype was just like fucking through the roof. Like none of us could believe it. The fact that we landed it on that gun too.
Yeah.
And we had broken a record. There was like a 40 or 50 year New Zealand record that had been standing. Anyway, safe to say, like we had a bottle of rum on the boat. There was a couple of boxes of beers. We had one hell of a party.
Awesome.
Back into Milford Sound, just like we just couldn't believe we were all on cloud nine. We all got naked under a waterfall. I almost lost my Instagram account. I'm trying to post the photo. Like we chucked the drone up, we were all like completely stark naked under the waterfall, and like it was a cold waterfall.
Yeah.
Right. And the drone was quite far away, so I thought that the photo would have been fine. But yeah, no.
Spiritual moment,
Yeah.
Peaceful.
I think one of us dropped an albacore over the side. Dwayne lost his sunnies. We're all fucking parked up with our little pickers hanging out. But yeah, Graham always took their accounts. But I'm not gonna lie, when we were filming the weigh-in segment back at the marina, back at the boat ramp, like the memory is definitely like a little bit blurry.
Hazy, little hazy there.
Little hazy. I think it's all that time that we're holding our breath that day.
Yeah. That's CO2.
In a couple of the shots in the episode, you can see like the bottle of rum in the gunner, and it pops up in different shots. You like just see like the level is like drop down, more and more. Yeah, hell of a hangover the next day. But honestly, that was fucking one of the best days like ever. We had like we stopped off on like you just pop out of the Homer tunnel, like all in the mountains, and it was beautiful. We like pulled over on the side of the road, and we like mixed like all our soy sauce and stuff in a power shell. We went diving the next day. That was rough.
Yeah, I bet it was.
On our way back up the road, then we cut up one of the albacore and like had it as sashimi and on the most like breathtaking scenery. Still on cloud nine after shooting that fish, but yeah, that's one fish. It's probably one of the most significant fish that I've been around in terms of how you feel around that fish. That had nothing to do with pulling the trigger. It was fucking awesome.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool. Oh man, I can't imagine like coming out of the mountains and just being in that range and then just having like a tuna that you've shot as sashimi. That's awesome.
It's mad, you know. It's same on the west coast at the moment. A success story is these bluefin tuna that have been turning up pretty much since that year. It's so awesome. I think whether that's changes in environmental conditions or overseas commercial pressure and that have led them to coming back to our shores and such good numbers. But we've been chasing them out of greymouth, and you're sitting there looking at the mountains that are full of bull tar and chamois and all the rest, and you're looking down and there might be there's 150 kilo southern bluefin swimming around your boat sometimes.
Fish.
Yeah, we're so lucky is
lucky.
Yeah, that's spot on.
I feel like we can follow that with anything good, because it's such a good honestly, I think we should make a pact, at least. If we do that, we're naked waterfalling.
Deal.
We won't make a video though.
Wow.
Unless we need money.
Very niche sort of branch out of OnlyFans.
Niche. Yeah.
OnlyFins. We've already talked about what it would be called. OnlyFins. Yeah. No.
I've been on a boat with a dude who was a skipper and they booked out his boat for a porno shoot in Fjordland, and they had they had underwater scenes and stuff like that.
Wow. Cold.
Yeah, it'd be chilly.
Okay.
Yeah, but I still managed to get the job done apparently.
Niche,
wow.
You
might see that on South Seas Spearos.
South Seas Spearos. This is an ongoing thing.
I'm the cameraman.
I'm the cameraman.
I'm
behind the camera.
If that makes you any less weird or less dero, to be honest.
It's a pay gig. One of the coolest parts of South Seas Spearos that I remember is, and it's just kind of stupid, but it's funny, is someone dove down and caught a fish underwater on a fishing rod and reel. Sat underwater, held their breath.
Probably Jules.
And caught a fish. It was so good. I was like, that is so funny.
It's hilarious because Like, he loves it
Yeah.
so much. You'll be swimming along and you'll hear this, and you'll look over and Jules is like sitting with his legs dangling down on a branch on an underwater tree, holding his breath, fishing rod down, catching these like massive blue cod.
Yeah.
It's just like, what is going on? But
it's so funny.
Yeah, it's just quirky shit like that. He's great for that.
Yeah.
He really wants to get a kingy. Oh, like, so he gets, like, obviously you don't want to sacrifice.
Like, for his first time? No.
Yeah, you don't want to sacrifice, like, an expensive fishing rod, but he wants to be in the water and catch kingfish on his little rod.
That would be so cool.
He's going to get dragged around.
He's going to get dragged around, hopefully not wound up.
If that's your level of expertise, that difficult to you now is that where you're underwater holding your breath with a fishing rod and you have to up it to different fish, you're just in a different...
Yeah, it's
you kind of human.
Honestly, all the boys have just spent far too much time holding their breath, depriving the brain of oxygen. The boys have just gone a bit kooky.
Sending it into a good space in the brain, no problem with that.
You, Sam, honestly seal the deal in my theory that everyone we have met, pretty much, who's a Spearo is just a good human.
This is true.
I've not been in a group of people in a community before where you keep meeting more and more people and just go, you know what? Spearo, genuinely, Spearos are just quality people with quality yarns.
We're all our own little oxygen-deprived little group of people who just all get along.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes. The early days of the Spearo Forum, if any of the OGs are around from the early days of the Spearo Forum, they probably know what I'm talking about. Some of these boys meeting up for fights in car parks and stuff like that.
Wow. I thought we were going to say trolls online, but
the trolls would be there too. They always keep things interesting. But
that's so good.
There were dudes tagging up. The red monkey hunters in the PPC. If any of you boys are around, we miss you. Bring it back. Get your purple wings back in you.
If there's any of the red monkeys or the PPCs out there you want to jump on,
meet you in the car park in 10.
Yeah, yeah. It's got to be on a Friday night.
We've
got to have a few perpy G's in the system to get the good stuff.
Well, we really appreciate chatting with us, Sam. You've been such a good yarn, and I feel like there's such a huge wealth of knowledge that we haven't even touched on. But yeah, thank you so much for chatting and yapping away and giving us all your good stories, and yeah, we really appreciate it.
It's been awesome catching up, guys. Thank you so much for having me and letting me waffle on your podcast. But hopefully the next one can be in person, and I'm sure.
Yeah.
And good luck to you and your lovely lady with the new little Pepe, and enjoy becoming a new dad.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a cool journey.
Exciting times ahead. Yeah,
man.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for filling your ear holes with our chat with Sam. Such a great human, and we will no doubt get him back on in the future to pick his brain more on some marine and Spearo-related topics and hear more of his ongoing adventures.
Spearo Diaries podcast is now on all platforms, and we want to share the stories of these absolute legends of the sport and lovers of the ocean. We've got Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Apple Music. If you enjoyed this episode with us too, yapping along, please share it with a mate. We so appreciate hearing from you guys.
Always dive with a buddy and be conscious of what you take from where.
Toodles!